we do believe the protest can and frankly should continue, and the city's fine to enable that with the stage and the PA system and that, but the tents and belongings are a significant life safety risk now. According to our fire chief and city staff on the site, the injunction would be basically going to court to get their guidance on the matter, and would be effectively another tool to ensure that we can enforce our life safety bylaws.
Would the injunction prevent anybody from staying overnight on the lawn of the art gallery?
Well, that all depends, and we'll have to go through that process. But the key thing, the bottom line here is public safety and ensuring that we don't have any more tragedy on the site. There is a really high risk, and our fire chief has been very clear about this for a number of days now, and the overdoses on top of that, but a whole combination of risks that to the people on the site that we just can't have it, and frankly it's totally undermining the whole Occupy movement and the important issues that have been raised by it. It's all about a tent camp and the conditions that have deteriorated there.
But why now? I mean, it's not that different. I was at the site again this morning, and it's not that different down there now than it was 2 weeks ago by appearances. Why are you doing this now and not 2 weeks ago?
We have had the fire chief and his staff on site, and their assessment is that there is significant risk on the site. When they found propane bottles in tents, the tarps, the access, the problems with belongings and some hoarding that's taken place, that there is significant risk to people on that site there. This isn't something that the fire chief does lightly. This is a very, very significant step. And that combination of factors means that we can't let it get worse, effectively. The conditions have deteriorated, and there is real concern that it could get worse if the city doesn't step in.
Did no one at the city expect that if you let people set up tents and tarps and structures in the first place that it would eventually come to this? I mean, we have the Woodward squat, which ended up in a similar situation. We had a campsite outside of Science World for some time as well. Did no one expect this?
I think that it is not unexpected what has happened. We, as you say, have a history with tent camps deteriorating, the conditions becoming dangerous, and in fact, I think it was only a matter of time here, which is really unfortunate because I think the goals of the broader Occupy movement are completely different and much more high level. And we need to see the protest. I think be continue. We just can't have the conditions, life safety threats of a tent camp really undermine it completely. And that's the city is at a point where we have to protect life safety first, and we'll hopefully find a way to do this that is peaceful and that sensibly resolves the issues and enables the protest to continue.
Mr. Mayor, how much does this have to do with the death of a 23-year-old woman at the site this weekend?
Well, it's a horrible tragedy, and I know people are frustrated. I'm frustrated to see that we still have overdose deaths around the city on a regular basis. A death at the Occupy site and a near death a few days before is a huge issue. It gets a lot of attention, and this issue still needs a lot of work around the city, even with all the work we've done with insight and harm reduction and trying to be a leading city in terms of dealing with drug addiction. But there are more concerns raised by this, that the situation at Occupy has deteriorated. And on top of the fire concerns that the chief raised, they're just more dangerous signs that the conditions are really troubling and that the city has to weigh in and very carefully and thoughtfully work with the people on site to move them off and make sure it's safe and look at the next steps in terms of the protest continuing.
So when you obtain the injunction, how long between obtaining it and serving notice on the campers for them to leave?
Well, my understanding is the first step is with short leave for an injunction is that they need to be, people on the site would need to be served with that first notice right away, and then the injunction process takes place. And it is a public process, so that can take obviously more time to get figured out. So this is a work in progress, and it is a public process through the court system. So there are notices involved and court appearances that will take place probably imminently. It's we're trying to move this along as quickly as possible given the dangers on the site.
In the end, though, do you think that this camp can be dismantled without some kind of confrontation?
I remain very hopeful, and I think it's a real contrast to my political opponent, who has sought every opportunity to politicize this, who has delivered ultimatums and cowboy diplomacy, and we have to find a sensible way to resolve this. My hope is that Vancouver is the city that finds a solution here, that we can evolve the Occupy protest and successfully keep it going, but we can address the huge life safety concerns with the tent camp, and we can enable the voices to be raised again on the issues that matter to all of us, and at the same time avoid the really unfortunate violence and problems that have taken place in other cities that have gone in with a heavy hand, which has not been my approach over these past couple of weeks. I'm looking for a peaceful resolution here, and I remain hopeful that we can get there.
And Mr. Mayor, finally, there is a report that discussions have been going on with City Councillor Andrea Reimer and I suppose others to move this indoors to a warehouse somewhere. Can you confirm that those discussions are actually going on?
No, that's a red herring, and there have been a lot of discussions and dialogue over the last several weeks, and looking at all sorts of options, and that is continuing. We want to explore all of the possible options that mean that we can address the safety, that we can end the encampment, but support the protest. And I'm not going to predict exactly where that'll go, but that piece of news is not what's happening right now. We're focused on the encampment specifically, and what we can do to support the protest on site while we deal with the tents moving off.
Sure, but is there some possibility that the city could provide a place for this protest to move indoors?
Well, that's not something that we're pursuing right now. It's not on the table. We're looking at options for the protest to continue on the site with the stage, with the PA system, and the appropriate supports that are needed, because that is the public square where many a protest has been held in Vancouver. So that continuing is certainly on the table, but the encampment that has surrounded it and has created all kinds of chaos now, I think that is the issue that we're focused on first and foremost, and other options beyond that, we're not really focused on that.
The suggestion has also been made, Mr. Mayor, that as long as you continue to provide these people with water and electricity and so on, they're not going to go anywhere. Why not cut off those services?
Well, it's another set of options that the city has. The key thing is to ensure that we don't have problems with generators and trying to provide power any other ways. Those decisions were made for safety reasons on the site, and our city staff will assess the next steps with all of that. But certainly, those are all part of the equation when it comes to figuring out how to move people on in a peaceful and sensible way, and that is our goal with this. And we just want to be sure that we don't create a conflict on the site, and we don't create extra health risks that come from things like generators.
Mr. Mayor, we appreciate your time very much this afternoon. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Stephen.
Gregor Robertson, the mayor of Vancouver. We spoke with him earlier this afternoon. And earlier in the program as well, we heard some reaction to the city's effort to shut down the tent city at Occupy Vancouver. Well, here are some more of your thoughts.
You know what Bruce Allen's saying.
The movement has made their point, and it's time to move on. However, yes.
Take advantage of a lease rate as low as 0% up to 48 months on most new 2012 models. Plus, eligible Costco members receive an additional $1,000. Lincoln, it's not just luxury, it's smarter than that.
Brown Brothers Ford Lincoln at Main and Marine and online at brownbrosford.com.
It began as a flicker of hope, and every year heaps up cubicles, lockers, and more all over Metro Vancouver. The 2012
We have to hear his sponsors first, I guess.
Flame calendar is here. $20 plus tax.
But he's just raging for a guy who started a band, a bunch of girls called the West End Girls, and then just ditched them after an album or two. It's just like, and Bruce Allen.
Available at London Drugs or
Enough said.